Welcome back to Holly's sofa.
It's a lovely sofa.
It is. It's nice.
I know.
And comfy.
I had my other one was actually more broken in, and I swore
we sat on the one that used to be here when we were at the cottage.
So I went and bought the same company, pretty much
different color,
a little different style, but the same basic feel to it because I really like my sofa. There it is. So today we're going to talk about...
Holly and I just had a sidebar chat while the video wasn't running. And then I decided, maybe we should talk about that, right? We have talked about going to conferences and watching workshop videos and critiquing and meeting with other people. But I thought it was time for us to do our little wonderful disclaimer. Now, when I give a workshop, I always used to put first a big, huge disclaimer. And the disclaimer runs along the lines of, this is what works for me. It may or may not work for you.
Take what you can use and ignore the rest. Not everyone in the universe holds to that Holly and Susan standard. Some people are quite forceful on their opinions of what is the correct way.
The right way to do it. You must do it this way.
And we've done workshops many, many times on always and never.
Yep.
And if somebody says to you, you always have to do it this way, you never can do it this way, they're ignorant. Just get up and leave.
We feel you can totally, that is the, it's like true and false questions. See, as a teacher, right, you used to teach kids, if it says always or never, generally then that it's false because nothing is always or never.
Correct.
So if somebody tells you always or never, just boop, turn off.
And I think,
look for gems. They might still have some little gems that you can use, but feel free to ignore them. We give you permission, right?
And that's not just with writing, but in life in general.
Yep.
I can't tell you.
You must breastfeed your baby.
For years, I worked with new moms. And I can't tell you how many new moms would call me in tears.
Crying.
Because somebody said, you always have to have a hat on the baby if they're outside, even if it's 90. And I said, well, that person's not real bright. And so...
Ignore that person.
I pretty much... And here was my analogy for them, and it works for writing too. So for new moms, pretty much anywhere in life. If you needed new pipes in your house and you hired a plumber, and he came in and he said, well, I'm going to run the pipe right down the middle of your living room like it's a dance pool. and there's just no way to do it other than this one way. This is the only way that it'll work. You would find another plumber.
You would ask somebody else.
Unless you wanted a dance pole in the middle of your living room, and then he
that also carried water.
Then he might be your guy. But
crazy.
But teaching people to, as new moms, ignore that. And my rule of thumb was always to say, the doctor said. Because that generation that wants to give you advice, and it's well-meaning, and I get it. Once you said those words, they're like magic. The doctor said the baby would get too hot if I did that. And they're like, oh, okay. So in the writer case, you say Holly and Susan
to doctors
said
all the time either. I don't believe that they all know exactly what they're talking about.
Many of the people I worked with did. So
okay.
But in the writing instance, if somebody tells you an always or never, you say Holly and Susan said. There is no such thing as an absolute in writing.
There isn't. Last time I talked about the Chris Rush video, it worked. That was one of the things that she said in it. Like, she had done something early on in like her second book that she said, I could never do it today because I know better. Right. But you know what? It worked. That's what she said. It worked. She did it and it worked. She would not do it now.
Right.
But for that book, it worked. And that's one of those things. And like, don't burst people's bubbles. You need to learn the reality. There is a time and a place for all of that. But, if somebody sends you home and you're crying, that's usually not a good sign.
No. And I really firmly believe that the things I did, if you pick up Bosom Buddies, it's still available. It's an ebook. So if you pick that up, that is one of the earliest things I wrote. And it ties into working with new moms because that's a whole beginning of the book. I love the book. I still stand by the book. If I wrote that book today with that same kernel of an idea, it would be absolutely a different book.
Sure.
I have learned a lot.
Because you're a different writer. You're a different person.
I have learned a lot, and I really feel that comedy for comedy's sake, there's a place for it. But even now, when I write a comedy, I feel there's a little more heart to it, and depth to it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't worry about leaving that out. As a reader, I feel that you can pick it up and look at the date
and appreciate the growth.
It's an early Holly, and then please go pick up something like Just One Thing and say, oh,
look at the difference, look at the growth. Exactly. So we really just wanted to do this to reassure writers who might be getting advice from
new moms
or anybody for that matter. Gosh, it seems to me like the internet has made us much, like, people are way more busybody-ish than they ever even used to be, and they were plenty busybody-ish in the old days, as we say.
In the old days.
In the old days.
But you do you. And if you're really stuck and there's something that you're not sure is right and you feel maybe there's a better way, then find a trusted friend who is kind.
Well, the other thing, too, is know the credentials of the person who's giving you advice, right?
Definitely.
Because, again, there's, one of the things today is the people who give marketing advice to writers. Well, okay, what kind of results have they gotten from marketing their own books? Mark Dawson, I've talked about him for a long time. Dude, he is kicking it. He is making a lot of money by selling books. And the way he does that is by kicking the marketing. So if you want to learn about that, there you go. He's got really great creds.
Good.
So know the creds of the person giving you advice.
And find your glee. People that try to take that away from you they're like thieves. And we don't need those in our lives. I just tune them out and just did my own thing with my kids. My kids did not wear hats or bonnets on their head when it was 90 degrees.
And they survived.
And they're all viable human beings at this stage.
There you go.
So there you are. So have a good one, guys.
We'll see you next time.